Hello, good evening, everyone. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and I bring you Dark Goddess Astrology. We are less than 2 hours from the moment that the sun crosses over into Libra. And just a few hours after that, Mercury will be backing up into an exact conjunction with the sun. This is an energized moment, setting the stage for the new moon, which happens in my neighborhood, northern Maine or coastal Maine. 5:55 p.m. on Sunday is the new moon in Libra at 2 degrees 49 minutes. Is that correct? Let me see. Yes, 2 degrees 49 minutes. So this is a potent moment that actually bookends an amazing event that I will be attending. It's in my neighborhood, in my county, called the Global Gathering of Matriarchs. So we are arriving there at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, just, barely 12 hours after the equinox. And we will complete and have our closing ritual just a few hours before the new moon. So we are bookending a lot of energy and a lot of transformation. I can't tell you much about the event because I don't know much. I just know that I needed to be there, and some friends of mine and I are going, and it's in my neighborhood, so it's kind of a no-brainer that I should show up. And actually, it does fit what's happening in the bigger range of the astrology. What does it mean? Right now, I'm kind of doing two readings at once. This is an equinox reading. So at this very moment, the moon is conjunct Ceres. It is passing over the planet Ceres, which stands for the earth, the nourishment, the place we get our food. Having the moon activating Ceres at this moment of equinox here in the north, where we are harvesting, literally bringing in over the next few weeks our last harvest. We've been harvesting all of August for 7-8 weeks now. And so these next few weeks, we're starting to put the gardens to bed and gathering the last of the food, gathering the apples and the other things that come in later. It's a very important time for preparing to survive the winter. And this is not something we think that much about anymore. But in fact, it's an incredibly important time to our soul and our animal body. We are designed to celebrate this time, to work hard, to gather everything in on time, to do the work of preserving and making sure that food lasts the winter. Our survival, the survival of our families and communities and our species depends on it. Those of us especially who live in the cold parts of the world where things don't grow year-round. So the moon at this moment of equinox is reminding us of the importance of gathering the harvest. And Mercury is reminding us, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So Mercury is picking up the energy of this equinox and is going to carry it back into Virgo, where he will make another conjunction with Venus. both of them very close to the sun. We won't be able to see this in the sky. And he's going to pick up that Venus energy. Venus is in her underworld phase. She is meeting with the dark goddess as she is falling into her exterior conjunction with the sun. She is going around the other side of the sun, opposite from the earth. And so she's going to be out of sight for a long time, almost 3 months. And Mercury is currently in retrograde, and he's coming back to take that Venusian energy and bring it back into the light and carry it out. He will precede Venus with that Venus energy. So as we are moving on and on and on towards Samhain, and another moon cycle that moves into the Scorpio moon cycle, we're going to be missing Venus, but Mercury will be carrying that energy for us as he moves direct and precedes Venus out back into visibility. In the evenings, actually, he will become a tiny evening star. What else is there something happening right now that is? I think everything else, we're so close to the new moon that I'm going to go ahead and move to the new moon chart. The new moon is happening at 2 degrees 49 minutes. Mercury will have moved already in just 3 days' time. Will have scooted all the way back into at 27 Virgo, less than 2 degrees away from Venus. And those two planets, Venus and Mercury in Virgo, are part of a grand Earth trine, which activates the dark goddess, death and transformation. This has been happening a lot. There's been a lot of action around 25, 26, 27 of the Earth signs because Pluto and Algol, the demonized goddess, the Lilith star, have been doing this dance for a couple of years. And it's included the Venus retrograde back in January, December to January. And hard to believe that it's been it's been 9 months. It's like we're giving birth to that Venus retrograde. We've had 9 months of Venus as the morning star. Now she's in the underworld visiting the story of Inanna, her sister, Ereshkigal. She is becoming the dark goddess. We are seeing the dark side, the fierce side, the hard side of Venus right now. Venus is a crone. She is ancient. We think of her very often in the Aphrodite aspect, which is more maidenly and yet sensual and sexual. But Venus in this part of her world, she is doing what all women do. We go on that deep initiation journey. We drop into the darkness. We do this periodically. We do it on monthly cycles. We do it in the birth cycle. We do it in our life cycle. We do it in our sexuality. Our sexuality has this underworld arc to it, our orgasm. And then we go through the major cycles of life that feel linear through our life, although that is kind of an illusion that it is linear. But we have this macro life cycle of being the maiden, being the woman slash mother, mature in the prime of life, raising children, giving birth to children, or at least in that time, that bleeding time, where we are biologically attuned to that, whether or not we actually have children. And then comes menopause and the years beyond menopause, the crone years, and that's where Venus is right now. She's going to be reborn as an evening star and bringing a different energy, but she goes into this dark, silent, hermit crone space to rejuvenate, to remember, to dredge up things from the depths that she will bring back into as she beams down on us in the next cycle. We're going to receive that energy, and each one of us will receive it a little differently. So that's coming, that's down the road. There are many things to happen yet, such as the next new moon is going to be the exact conjunction of the sun, the moon, and Venus as a solar eclipse. That's at 2 degrees Scorpio. That's a big one. That is when the dark goddess is going to be showing her face. We're going to all look up and see her. We'll get to that. I'll be talking about that more later. But I also want to give you a heads up. If you know what's going on in your Scorpio, you have Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun or moon, any major planets around Scorpio, especially early Scorpio or the cusp of Scorpio and Libra, then that eclipse is going to kick something wide open for you. So knowing what's going on there is really important. And Dark Goddess program is a good idea. Just saying. So what else is going on? We've got Pluto, Algol, death, transformation, the demonized goddess. These two are dancing because they're waking the world up. And it's not necessarily a gentle awakening at all. There's shit happening all over the world. And right now, this trine, Earth trine, first off, it's grounded. It will be expressed through the earth. Wildfires, earthquakes, and now hurricane season is upon us. So weather can make things very challenging for people. And as of the new moon, Mercury and Venus are returning to a union in Virgo. And what this is a way of understanding what's going on. It's a way of tapping in to the wisdom. The ancient story of Venus is Venus and her son, Cupid, were playing on the beach, lounging around, living a life of pleasure, because that's one of the things that Venus stands for. And the great war between the Olympian gods and the Titans came rolling over like a great thunderstorm, like a great whirlpool. They were willing to destroy the world to see who would win out, who would be on top. So Venus ties her son to her ankle, and they dive into the deep waves. Venus and Cupid, or Aphrodite and Eros in the Greek language, they are Pisces. That's why there are two fishes. The goddess and her child tied together became as fishes, or some say dolphins, and went into the deep and rode out the storm. And essentially what that myth is saying is that love hid itself to preserve itself. And then when the war was over, they brought the regenerating power of love back to the planet, to the people. So this is the power of Venus, Venus connecting with Mercury at the time of this new moon, and as one corner of this grand Earth trine. So this is a message of not just hope, but of truth. To remember that no matter what is happening, we have the capacity to tap into deep love, deep power that can support us in making the right decisions, in regenerating and reviving the earth. And it can work for our personal lives as well. And it is not something we have to do alone. It is something that we want to do in community. And that is, sadly, many people do not have community, or communities and families are fractured. We've lived in a world that allows us to forget the basic units that allowed for human survival: the family, the community, the tribe. And it's important that we recreate the tribe. Find your family, find your people. And thanks to the way the world is, it may not be the one you were born into. So that is the grand trine that is happening. It's created by Venus and Mercury. Let's see what else is going on. There is another trine aspect. A trine is a flow of energy where two planets and their energies are in conversation with each other. And they're kind of they're definitely working, okay, they're in the same element always. So they are working in different vibrations of the same element. And we can experience that as a flow. It is considered a beneficial aspect in most cases. Sometimes it depends on the planets. Simultaneous with all of this happening, Saturn and Mars are in a flow. And I'm particularly interested in this because on my own chart, they're conjunct my Mercury, or Saturn's transiting my personal Mercury, and Mars is transiting my personal Vesta. So they are activating that trine in my natal chart. I'm going to be paying very close attention to what those planets say to me over the next week. What would they have me do? And chances are they will have me doing something that I've been avoiding or have identified as too hard or something. So that's how you can use your personal astrology when you know what it is. What it says for us generally is these are two intensely masculine energies. They are holding space. Saturn is the container. Now, he stands for a lot of things that we associate with patriarchy and things that maybe need to be torn down. The rule of law, the institutions, the church, the corporation, the banks. But Saturn as an energy is the container, the cauldron, the womb, the place that contains the elements so that alchemy can happen, focusing the energy, focusing the mind, focusing the effort. And he is communicating with Mars. Mars is action and direction. So all of us, regardless of what planets these may be near for you. 2 air signs, which means wind. We are moving fast. We have very little obstruction. So it is a good time while these 2 planets are communicating over the next week. It's a very good time to think of a project that needs your focus and intention and take the steps to get it done. Move that project forward, and if you can actually finish it, excellent. All the better. I know what I'm going to be doing. Ooh, and yes, I have been putting it off. This is some energy that's important. Okay, I'm looking here. There's a lot of planets involved. We got a lot going on at 14 and 13 degrees of planets, of signs, and the Great Attractor in Sagittarius, Nessus in Pisces, Chiron in Aries, and Albion and the North Node in the 14th degree of Taurus. So most of these aspects are talking to each other one way. They're all anchoring to the Great Attractor, which is the great goddess. She's the great goddess way out in the void, the unknown, but she is calling us, she is drawing us towards her, and she's square Nessus, which is saying the stuff that needs healing is coming up. Ancestral wounds, ancestral trauma, things from your childhood, things from your parents' childhood and your grandparents' childhood. It's going to come home to roost in you. And this is a long thing. This is not just for a week. Nessus is retrograding. He's going to go way back, way beyond 14 Pisces, and then he's going to cross back over. So you could be looking at many months of this aspect where you are being called as part of your spiritual walk to do that ancestral healing work by whatever means available to you. I just wrote and published on Facebook and in my blog how my ancestors awakened in me through some pictures that my cousin sent. And then this work that I'm doing at the Gathering of Matriarchs is going to involve some ancestral healing, really deep, possibly challenging stuff. And then there's more, always more, partly because Nessus is making trips back and forth across my natal sun in Pisces. This is up for me big time, but it's up for all of us right now with this aspect. And the Great Attractor itself is in that flowing towards Chiron. This has the energy of fire. Chiron in Aries is saying there is an urgency and a necessity for your healing to happen now. Find your mentors. You are not meant to do it alone. Find the healers to support you. Go into the spaces where you can do the work and be held. And this is something that we're all doing as a planet. And some of us are doing it without guidance, or we're acting it out rather than healing it. What do you think is going on in the world right now? It is people acting out their trauma, their fear, their racial and ancestral trauma all over the world. Wars, factions, divisions. That's exactly what's happening everywhere. And the North Node moving in a conjunction to Albion, the thresholder, is saying, we're blowing open the doors, you better walk through it. You can walk through it as a rebirth. You can walk through it as a death. You can walk through it as pleasure and accepting the life force of your humanity, opening your heart, caring about life more than you care about your ideas and your beliefs. Either way, it's walking through a door of transformation. And all of the other energies of this chart are amplifying that. This long-standing aspect between Pluto and Algol that I talked about earlier, that is massive. It's pretty much in charge of things right now, and will be for another year or two. Where's Black Moon Lilith? Oh, there she is, over at 18. Okay, Black Moon Lilith in Cancer. I haven't talked about her that much. She's, I'm not sure why, maybe because a lot of her activity has been during my silent period. I've been on retreat for pretty much 6 weeks, the end of the summer. But right now, she is aspecting Uranus. We have 3 18s degrees in a row. We've got Uranus, Mars, and Black Moon Lilith. So the divine feminine is tapping into this Uranus energy of electricity, of epiphany, of awakening. It's what's up, folks. Awakening. Awakening from the womb to the heart, to the mind. Not wokening, whatever that means. Awakening. Eyes opening. Awareness. Tons of creativity in this chart. And this one fascinating aspect, two of those. Oh, Venus and Mercury are in a square to Magdalena and the galactic center. So I've talked a lot about Venus and Mercury. And Magdalena and galactic center is another one of those divine feminine goddess points, black hole at the center of our galaxy, that has this, a black hole by definition has so much gravity that it attracts things to it and they don't get out. They don't come out. Now, where do they go? Do they stay in the black hole, or is it a portal to another dimension? We don't know. But it's a ton of energy. And Magdalena is having an exact conjunction to that point. She is Mary Magdalene. And I encourage any of you who, whether you've ever worked with Mary Magdalene before or not, Google her. Look up the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Look up Megan Watterson's work. There are plenty of other people who've written about her, although I don't have their names at the tip of my tongue. But just see, or even just have a meditation and say, Mary Magdalene. I heard that you are super energized right now, and I'd like to have a chat with you. We can actually talk to these energies and receive the news directly. We are, all of us, inner priestess, inner priest and priestess of our own lives. So that square to Venus Mercury, it's saying that there is something that needs to shift and give there. Two incredibly potent points that are in conjunction, merging energies. And the square is holding them in stasis for a while, for the moment. Now, all this is going to change. Everything's moving. Magdalena is slowly moving away from the galactic center. Mercury is rapidly moving away past Venus. I think this is about sitting still and finding out what is it that they have to say to you. Gathering the information. And then when we gather information, we usually are confronted with a decision or some other action. And these incredibly gorgeous divine feminine aspects can give us a right action to take, while all these thresholds and trauma healing and cataclysmic feeling shifts are going on in the world around us. And I will close by saying Vesta, the priestess, retrograde she's actually on silent retreat in Aquarius, and especially at this moon, she's in the 12th house of this moon chart. And she is backing up into the final third of Aquarius. And at the new moon, she's in an exact opposition to Lilith asteroid, the disowned feminine within. So what Vesta is saying, this inner priestess that I just described that can talk to Mary Magdalene anytime you want, Vesta is saying, yeah, talk to Mary Magdalene, go within. And what are you going to talk to her about? The disowned feminine within yourself. What part of yourself has felt unworthy, wrong, false, or you have been told it is of no value? This is whether you're a male person or a female person or anything in between. This part of you that has feminine power, feminine qualities of compassion and spirit and creation and access to the void and the darkness, the deep truths, the capacity for stillness, the stillness of gestating, generating, and then when it's time, giving birth, which is not particularly still. All of these disowned qualities are the things you are being invited to rediscover within yourself. So that is the equinox new moon reading for Libra.